The following is a Papi Chulo Radio original program. The views and opinions expressed in the commentaries and/or interviews in the following program are solely those of the individuals and are not views of Papi Chulo Radio, its parent, affiliate, or subsidiary companies.
Welcome to Are You Afraid? Scream Queens, the unofficial Scream Queens internet radio show exclusively on PapiChuloRadio.com. Papi Chulo Radio, pop culture on demand. Today is Wednesday, December 14th, 2016, and I'm your host, Jeffrey Aruz. During tonight's broadcast, we're going to recap, review, and dissect the latest episode of Fox's Scream Queens. Please welcome my co-hosts. First up, Wilson Hammond Jr.
I can run fast because the bottom half of my body actually works.
I like that. Next up, Priscilla Rocha.
Hey guys, I'm totally the one that ends up at the very end paying for Starbucks, but not the last one. We'll leave that to Prince.
Oh, and Prince Rico Suave.
Hi hoes. It's off to work we go.
Well, we started off with a bang, so let's jump into our recap of Season 2, Episode 9, titled Lovin' the D, and aired December 13th, 2016.
I laughed when I saw that name. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I burst out laughing reading that name, and I'm like, the names that they came up with, this is the best one so far. For
Ryan Murphy loves his fake TV shows. So here's the official synopsis of the episode. The Chanels are overwhelmed when their TV idol, Dr. Scarlett Lovin, visits the Cure Institute. Meanwhile, Hester calls a green meanie summit as the killers put their final kill plan into effect. So let's get everyone's initial reaction to the episode, and we'll start off with Priscilla.
Holy shit. Oh my god. Chanel number 5 is life. The fact that she's just kind of like, I'm a genius and nobody fucking cares. Oh god. She made this episode for me. In fact, all the Chanels did. That whole TV cast, I don't know, everything was great. And the Green Meanie Summit, Hester, every single person that was a Chanel did a good job. Loved this episode.
Prince?
I honestly am going to go with Priscilla. I love this episode more so for the comical relief of it. I just felt like this was one of the funniest episodes this so far on the season. Just the puns were on, the action was on point. I'm like, everybody that aired on this episode or guest on this episode did their job. They did the damn thing, and they got the story going for me.
All right, now Wilson.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the rest of my crew members. This was a good episode. I think I started laughing at the very, very beginning, and I found myself laughing throughout, and this is crazy. You know me, I could have dealt with a dozen more murders or so, but not bad at all.
I was waiting for that shit. I was like, is Wilson gonna like this or not? Because it's a good episode. But there was, 2 kills?
Yeah.
3.
So the one was so...
3, yeah.
What, 3?
Mm-hmm.
All right, yep. Mm-hmm. But one was so mediocre.
Well, yeah, that was sad because it was mediocre. But Yeah, so I'm going to continue on the hype train. I thought it was a fun episode, a great sort of setup episode for the finale. A lot of revelations, some important deaths, minus like the pathetic one. And for me, Chanel number 5 had the line of the night. When she said this line towards the end of the episode, I was gagging. That was a little tease as to what it was. It was hilarious. I loved it. It was so funny to me. Yes, I know, right? We got to go on Snapchat right now. And that we're not going to have a whole other Snapchat conversation, listeners. Priscilla's going to fall asleep. But before we get into a thorough recap of the latest episode of Scream Queens, here's our announcer with a few reminders on how you can interact with us.
Follow Poppy Chulo Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Poppy Chulo Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@poppychuloradio.com. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chulo Radio team as an on-air personality? Email talent@poppychuloradio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chulo Radio programs by visiting poppychuloradio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through iTunes. Just search for Are You Afraid? Scream Queens, and subscribe.
Thanks, announcer. So we start off with the Chanels working the overnight shift that Nurse Hoffel made them do. And when Chanel Oberlin goes into a room to look at a patient, there's this whole, like, green meanie swamp thing on the bed. It was like, I don't know, it was like stuff from the swamp, like plants and I don't know what it was, but it
like
was
a little
hashtag when the weed smokes you.
There you go.
Perfect.
It was like a little habitat that they made.
It was a habitat.
I was expecting Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, that would have been good, but they didn't have the budget for that. And then she screams, she turns around, and then she finds one of sort of like a mannequin that's a Kappa girl with a whole bunch of knives embedded into her. And they're confused, though, because they're like, the Green Meanie's trying to scare us, but this doesn't follow the Green Meanie's MO. Because this is like a Kappa girl, why would they be talking about stuff from 2 years ago? And also, why would the Green Meanie try to scare us before they attack? Because then our adrenaline would rush and it'd make us run even faster. But anyway, so they figure that they should, instead of stick together, they should split up. And
meet at Starbucks, and the last person there has to buy the coffees.
But the last person there is going to be dead.
That was priceless.
Not with Benny Hill. They should have
And
had
then
Benny Hill music playing during that scene.
They really should have had the
They
Benny Hill
should.
music. That would have been hilarious. And so they split up and they start running to the Starbucks, but they each run into a Green Meanie. And so then they run in the opposite direction from where they were, and they run into another Green Meanie. And then they run to their third option, and they run into another Green Meanie. And they don't really realize that there are multiple Green Meanies, because they keep on like running back to each other, and they're like, oh my god, it's after me, it's after me. And then we have Chanel number 3, who's about to get sliced and diced by a Green Meanie, but then another Green Meanie stops that Green Meanie from killing her, and then she does like a little wink and he does like a little nod, and then Chanel runs into a Green Meanie and she falls to the ground and all this kind of stuff, and then the Green Meanie, she's like begging for her life, and she's like, I hate this hospital too. And the Green Meanie is about to slice and dice, but then another Green Meanie shows up and like basically claims dibs, and then Chanel disappears while they're trying to claim dibs. And so then the 3 Green Meanies appear together. The Green Meanie that wasn't there was Cassidy Cascade. The Green Meanie that initially was going to kill Chanel was Wes, and the Green Meanie that was claiming dibs was Nurse Hoffel. And Nurse Hoffel's like, you're trying to, get my revenge, murder. And they start bitching at each other, and they're like, I told you to stay away from number 3, and you can't kill the boss. And Hoffel's like, you look like a pickle. And then
I liked that scene. she was like, aren't you the guy that came in here like with the intestinal thing? Like she was like, yeah, That's like,
Right, she's
and
like,
it
aren't
just
you hairball? Aren't you hairball? He's like, I am.
hairball. Yeah, like what? Like
Yes. And then Hester appears out of nowhere and she's like, "We need a green meanie summit." So let's talk
Which
about
just
this opening
proves
scene.
that which proves that she was right, like the entire fucking time. Like at the very beginning, she's like, the clues are right there in front of you. I can't believe you haven't figured out who the green meanie is. She knew.
No, she knew, but the thing was, she knew all of them from the jump. Well, no, actually, she didn't. She knew of Cassidy, and that was it. Which I still don't understand how she knew of Cassidy, because she was like, it's right in front of your face. But you got to remember, what's his name's ghost, Chad, pretty much told us it was Wes, because he's like, you'll never guess who it was.
Oh, I completely forgot that Chad.
Yeah,
gave
he came back as a ghost. He was like, you'll never guess
Ghost
who
Chad.
it was.
Aw.
And that's how I knew that there was different people involved, because I'm like, you'll never guess who it was. But we were all right. Like you and Jeff were right in the sense of it was like Wes. Like I wouldn't have guessed that.
I mean, when you said Wes, well, I mean, seems like years ago. Like Wes is. I was like, man, I did my twisting my lips up and pointed to him like bullshit, and then I'm like, God damn it, he was right. Fuck.
And that's exactly how I felt watching that episode. It's like they are fucking right. Fuck.
Yeah. We don't like that we were right either. Trust. But let's discuss this opening scene, because it was madcap, it was insane, it was very Scream Queens.
It was hilarious because they didn't even notice Zayday was missing. That Zayday shared a room with them. That made me fall out of my floor laughing. Like the number 3 goes, "Wait, we share a room with Zayday?"
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah. Oh my god.
you guys have been here for a year. You don't know who you share a room with?
Chanel number 3 knows nothing about life. Like she doesn't fucking recognize shit. Oh god.
But I think she did. I don't know what it was about her in this episode, but she was, I don't know, almost adorable in a way. Like,
Yes.
I think that winky face to the green meanie, like,
Yes.
hit Wilson. He's like, oh my god.
Yeah, like,
She's
it's
nice.
Right? She like gave a wink and like gave like a cute smile, like, I know it's you.
It's like, I know it's you, baby. Thanks for saving my life.
Right? Yeah, pretty much. And I was like, oh my god, she's like in love. I'm like, we haven't seen this since her lesbian Sam.
Yeah.
But who's crazier, her or Hester?
I think it's
Hester.
honestly number 3. I think it's
What?
because she's discreet crazy.
She's
I think
discreet
that's more
crazy.
great. Yeah, I think that's
She's crazy on the low.
when she's crazy on the low. Like, I think when you show you're crazy, it's like, oh, all right, I know what to expect. I think that crazy on the low, like, I still want to date this, like, killer type thing is like, bitch, you're tapped.
I mean, I figured the earmuffs were a dead giveaway, but we'll see.
Oh, she wanted to block out the bullshit. And remember that guy tried to eat her ear? Like, he had an obsession with her ear.
Yeah, but
Never know.
Yeah.
He could come to the hospital and start coming for her ears again. That's like a crazy person. You never know.
God, I'd love to see that. Like, if this show gets renewed, I want callbacks to that. Like, I want to see the bad guy there. I want to see, I don't know, like, is it weird that they keep mentioning Grace in the insane asylum? I'm like, if we see her only to have her die on screen, I would totally be okay with that.
Absolutely.
There you go.
I kind of feel like she could be. I feel like they're setting this up, if it was to go to the 3rd, for Grace to come out of the insane asylum and try to get revenge for her mother, her father, and just everybody else involved.
For everybody. Yeah. And they have been setting up the whole thing of, like, they didn't mention it for a while, but in recent episodes they keep on mentioning the earmuffs. So I think Priscilla might have something with that. Like, if there is
Right, like
an additional season, like, maybe we might get some more information or flashback, or maybe that person might come back. In particular,
Like, maybe
because of
Grace-
something that happens in this episode. Like, you know, she's going to
Maybe
get
Grace
greater
might be-
attention put on herself.
Maybe Grace
Mhm.
might team up with Earmuff Guy,
Oh,
They
there
could
you
be-
go.
the new colored themed monster.
Yes. So there was red, green,
Blue Baboon
the blue baboon,
on Hell's Island,
Blood Island.
Blood Island, chased by Grace and Earmuff Guy.
Oh gosh.
If
Wow.
we get a summer camp trip to Blood Island,
That would be
that
amazing.
Cool.
The Blue Lobster.
The blue lobster. Yeah, like the blue crab.
right?
Gross.
And he uses his little
The
visors
blue
to cut
waffle.
their heads off.
I thought that too. Gross.
The crab is coming to get me.
That's a slow, long, painful death. We don't want to do the blue waffle.
I know. If anybody Google it, or maybe not.
Yeah, somebody tricked me into Googling that once.
Oh, okay. We were about to trick you again, but I guess we can't. So let's talk about, since we're talking about blue waffles, let's talk about Lovin the D. So we're introduced to Scarlett Lovin. She is daytime's #1 rated talk show. She's like a Dr. Oz, but a lady. And Lovin the D means Lovin the Doctor, because her last name is Scarlett Lovin.
Not to confuse it with Lovin the Dick.
Yeah, because Chanel #3 make sure to point that out very.
But why don't you just call the show Lovin the Doctor? Yes.
I fucking love it. Lovin the D with Scarlett Lovin, who already sounds like a fucking porn name. Like, Jesus Christ, this is epic.
Yeah.
Yes. And this leads us off into one of the big storylines in the episode. So, remember, there was like a journalist from a medical journal that was there and ended up getting killed by the Green Meanie as he was leaving a voicemail, where the man from the voicemail is there, and he's the editor of the magazine and the journal, and he's there to investigate, because the voicemail kind of like left this whole thing of like they're doing all these crazy things here and at the institute, and so he's there to investigate basically, and he's there also to check out the unorthodox practices and to see exactly what's going on at the Cure Institute. And so he meets the Chanels, and he's like, well, they're med students, right? And she's like, oh, of course. And he's like, well, I need to see their credentials. And Munch is like, what? And then he's like, yeah, the transcripts, MCAT scores. And they're like, what's an MCAT? And it was a funny scene. There was even a moment where he starts like giving his credentials, and Chanel #5, was it #5 or #3 that says something like, do you have a PhD in bragging? And burn. It was good.
Oh yeah,
it was #3.
It was
no,
#3.
It was actually Chanel said it, and Chanel #3 was like, good burn.
Yeah, because they would never have
it was
#5.
Yeah, it was #3
for anything ever.
And
Never.
so basically, he's asking Munch, I need to see their credentials and all that kind of stuff. And so she's like, well, of course, okay, yeah, you will get everything. They found the test easy, and all this kind of stuff. And so as they continue on with their tour of the Institute, she goes back to the Chanels, and basically she's like, you all are going to have to take the MCATs ASAP. And to which the Chanels are very not happy. I mean, Chanel #5 even tosses down her latex glove balloon. I don't know, because they don't know what they're doing. And so later on, they end up meeting their idol, Dr. Scarlett Lovin, because Dr. Lovin, of Lovin the D, she heard about the parasitic twin removal. And so she wants to do feature a surgery there at the Cure Institute. She wants to do the first ever live on television surgery, and she wants Dr. Holt as well as the Chanels to perform the surgery. It's basically this man who has a 16-pound tumor on his face, and she's like, we need to make this happen. This would be huge ratings, and of course Munch is excited because this brings a whole bunch of positive press to the Institute. And since this man is sort of like looking around and stuff, this would guarantee that the Institute cannot be shut down because it's going to have all this wonderful positive press. Now, the Chanels do put their foot in their mouth because they confess that they are not doctors nor med students. And so Lovin is like, we can't do this because of legal measures and all this kind of stuff. These are not medical students, and we could face a lawsuit and all this kind of stuff. And so the Chanels are like, we will take the MCATs. We will take the MCATs. We will pass. We will take it. We'll do good. We love you, Lovin the D, basically. And I love Chanel number 5 was like, where can we take it at the DMV?
That shit was ridiculous.
Oh my god.
Yes. So that's what they've decided, and Lovin is like, okay, I will come back and we will do the surgeries once the MCATs. Now, there is a bit of a situation though, because the other doctor shows, Dr. Oz, Dr. Phil, the doctors, they've all learned about Lovin's plans to do this live surgery. And so now they're all trying to schedule live surgery. So they need to do this live surgery like tomorrow. And so they've set it up to where there will be a proctor later on that night, and the Chanels have to take the MCATs that night. Dun dun dun. So we see the Chanels taking the MCATs, and they're taking the test. Nurse Hoffel had given Chanel a tip. All the answers are B. And as they're taking the test, Chanel number 5 is like, they can't all be B. That doesn't make any sense. And so we see them taking the test, and they're all stressing out. It's an 8-hour test. They start at 9 o'clock. They finish at 5 o'clock in the morning. About an hour and a half later, the proctor is done grading the exams, and we find out that the Chanels have passed. Yay. They all passed.
You
Fucking
totally
how?
you totally skimmed over the fact that Hoffel was like, hey, I'm making this new skincare regimen of
Oh, because that's
peanut oil.
the whole other storyline that I'm gonna tackle later.
Oh, okay, because I was just kind of
Yes.
that's how she told her that, oh, it's okay, you just put B and you're gonna pass. And that's word to the wise, people always say that to college students, C is always the answer. If all else fails, put C. It never fucking works. I don't know where people get this shit from. But them taking the test with the little clueless pens, the ones that have little fluffy poofs at the end of it. That was fucking hilarious. And their calculators are bedazzled too.
Yeah, because that's how you do it when you're a Chanel. And so they all scored over 500. And then he goes over the actual scores. Chanel got 519, number 3, 522, and number 5 got a 525, just 3 points away from a perfect score. And she goes in for a hug, but she never gets it. And so Lovin is like, okay, ladies, I'll see you in a couple hours. Dr. Holt, it is showtime. And this is when, Munch is like, okay, how did y'all do it? Come on. And they're like, hey, we took the test, we got scores. She's like, okay, I know, but how? And Chanel fills them in, we cheated. She's like, Holt and Cassidy cheated for them. They had little earpieces in their ears, and they kept on reading the questions out loud, and then their significant boo thangs would give them the answer. And then Chanel number 5 is in shock and disgusted. She's like, nobody helped me. I got the score by myself. I studied. I passed. And Chanel's like, hey, we all passed. And now we all get to be on Lovin the D. And she's like, no. I passed. I actually passed. And Munch is like, okay. And she's like, I actually passed. I didn't have any help. And everyone's like, nobody cares. And so then Chanel, as Nurse Hoffel is trying to get away, she's like, thanks for telling us about B. Better luck next time.
Oh my god.
And then Chanel proclaims that she's a genius. Chanel number 5.
Which low-key she kinda is.
But she kinda is.
Oh my god. If you
I
guys
just want to know
knew
when she's
this
gonna be
exam,
smart enough
it's
to
so
leave them.
this exam is so fucking hard, and for her to have gotten close to a perfect score. Like, she is a genius. She is super smart. I felt so bad for her when nobody gave a shit. Like,
See, I didn't feel
God.
bad for her because of that. My thing was like, I'm like, okay, so you're this fucking smart. When are you gonna smarten up and walk away from these fucking idiots? Like,
Well, there's that.
Return
like
of the Kitty Hat, though, too. Like,
oh, I
I
love
was
the kitty
very
cat.
happy.
Oh my god, yes. I actually have one,
So,
guys.
oh, I was about to say someone on this podcast has one, but I wasn't going to be referring to you.
I have a
Prince.
kitty hat, guys. It says meow. I'm a cat. Duh. Like,
Well,
and
there
it
you
might
go.
have been inspired by Chanel number 5.
Priscilla actually has one,
Well,
and she had it first.
I don't know if she had it first. She might have just openly admitted that she had it first. I don't think I was publicly telling the world I had a kitty hat until like maybe season 2. I was like, I have to see if they make it to a second season before I start admitting to people that I bit Chanel number 5.
Well, there you go. And probably the sad thing is that Wilson is not surprised.
Not at all.
Probably not
Dude,
at all.
That
I
that
probably,
that
it
means
was a
Dr. Holt
tough
is
guy.
stupider than Cassidy, and Cassidy is stupider than Chanel number 5.
Well,
Yeah.
I would assume at this rate Cassidy might have cheated his way to get in there too. I don't really think he's all that bright his damn self.
That's true.
But
Aw, poor Cassidy.
I'm like, he did think he was dead because he vomited while he fell asleep.
But holy shit, like, this is probably going to be mentioned like in another bit, but like Chanel number 5 knew about Marfan syndrome, and she's like, yeah, I've been here for a month. I picked shit up. Like, she's smart.
Yeah, that was awesome when she was like, oh yeah, it could have been the respiratory heart attack. And they were like, what? Like,
How do you know this?
yeah, Dean Munch is just,
Yeah, I have
I've been here for
been
months. Like,
working in a hospital, like, you know what I'm saying?
I think that's why Deep Munch had a fainting moment. She's like, oh my god, this stupid bitch knows shit. Oh my god.
Yes.
That's the gag.
Oh, that was the gag. Speaking of the gag, let's rewind back and let's go to our Green Meanie Summit, which is being held by Hester with a gavel and all. And she has collected the Green Meanies, aka Cassidy Cascade, Nurse Hoffel, and her biological father, Wes Gardner. Although don't say that out loud because it's embarrassing. But she's gathered them there, and she's like, okay, here's what we need to do. Like, we need to get everybody on the same page. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to figure out who killed who. Like, we need to rewind and let's like start claiming who killed who. And so we learn through this little segment, what is this, a game show, that Cassidy killed Wolf Lady.
Killed who?
Yes, Cassidy killed Wolf Lady, Tyler, Randall, the Hamiltons, Chanel number 9, Chanel number 11, and Chanel pour homme. Nurse Hoffel killed the reporter, and she claims to have assisted in the offing of Chanel's number 9, and that she killed Chanel number 10. And then Wes murdered Orgasm Sheila, Chamberlain, and Chad Radwell, and he also poisoned the apple water, which led to the Hamiltons going to the hospital. And he attacked number 5, and he thought that she was dead, but then obviously she didn't, and he's like, and he killed Denise. But then Hester fills him in that no, Denise is in suspended animation, she is not dead. He's like, what? And so, yeah. So now we know who killed who. Were there any surprises?
And now I can fucking hate Wes forever for being the one that killed Chad Radwell.
Oh my god, no. Did you... It was incredible when friggin' Hester kissed the picture. I love you, Chad. And then gave it to her.
Yeah. Hester.
She gave it to Wes. She like kissed
Well,
him.
he did attack her crack.
She's like, I still love you. I still love you, Chad. Kissed it and then gave it to him. I was like, that whole scene between Wes and Hester was just incredible. Like, she's like, yep, and that's my dad. And he's like,
Don't say that out loud. It's embarrassing.
No, at first he went along with it. He was like, yeah, I am. I know it's hard to believe. And then it was like, she was like, yeah, Dad, don't call me that. That's embarrassing. And then it was at the end, he was like, but I'm your dad. Let me kill her.
I fucking love that
He did.
he's obsessed with Grace, with his like daughter,
Oh,
but like
absolutely.
Esther, she's like, oh, she's the reject daughter. I could give less of a shit about her.
Yeah, Wes is a real piece of shit.
Well, there you go.
I'm glad he's gone, fucker. But
Yes.
I'm surprised that he killed Orgasm Lady. Like, that came out of nowhere. But it explains.
Well, if you remember, it also explained why the Green Meanie didn't attack Zayday, because we initially thought that it was Cassidy, because he had mentioned that Zayday scares him, but it turns out it was Wes, and because Zayday was Grace's best friend, that's why he couldn't hurt her.
Yeah, now Zayday's fucking lucky as hell. Like, because Cassidy
Bull.
was scared by her, and freaking Wes was respectful of her, and the other chick just doesn't give a shit about her. The only reason that like I would say like she's unlucky is that like she's still like she's caught in a basement, but like she still isn't dead, which surprises me considering like she's underneath that kooky lady's bed. Like, how long are you gonna stay alive? She's
Well,
lucky.
she does have experiences being kidnapped before, so she can handle herself. So let's break down who is left and who claims who to die. So there aren't that many victims, potential victims, left. And so they decide that, well, I should say, they start sort of like divvying up who is left. And we have Cassidy, he claims Chanel number 3. And he's like, I've done all these kills, I've killed the most people, I will sit this out, but as long as I get to take care of number 3. And then Hoff was like, when you mean take care of, you mean take care of. Like, you don't mean you're going to kill her, you're going to in love with her. Yes. And so he's like, there's no reason we have to kill all the Chanels, but then the Hester's like, this is a murder summit. Like, if you're not going to kill people, you can leave. And she's like, okay, I'm going to murder her. And she's like, yes, I will murder her. And then, murder her with kisses and all that kind of stuff. And so Wes is like, okay, I haven't had, Hoffel, you haven't had the chance to kill as many people, so you know what, I will give you number 5 and all these other people, and I will kill Oberlin. And she's like, no, she burned my sister's face off. And he's like, no, but she put my daughter in the insane asylum. And so then, like, Hester's like, Dad. And then he's like, don't call me that, it's embarrassing. And so she's like, she's got a point, Grace is still alive and Mrs. Dean is dead, in the most horrible way possible. Like, she has a reason for revenge. And so then he's like, come on, I will give you all these people. I'll even throw in number 3 because Cassidy's not going to do it. So you get all 4 Chanels for the price of 1. And he's like, she's like, no. And he's like, fine, I'll even throw in Dean Munch. And, I love her. And then Hoffel, Kirstie Alley, says, you can go suck a hot fart.
I love how they called Chanel number 5 a dirty old cow. I don't give a shit about her.
Nobody cares about number 5
like, they
at
tried
all.
killing her, and they're like, did we succeed? No.
Lovin doesn't even like number 5.
Mm-hmm.
They do her pretty dirty. It's sometimes it's sad, but sometimes, most of the time, it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
comical. It's comical, but I will say number 5 has grown on me. She has become like one of my favorites. Like, I would have told you last season, like, they could have killed her off and I would have been content. I think if they killed her off this season, I would have actually really bummed out.
Yeah.
No! You said that, and that's like the death knell for her, because every time you say that about somebody, they fucking die.
No, once I start to warm up to somebody, they just die. I'm not allowed to have nothing nice.
I know, right? And so they end up taking a vote, and it's 3 against 1. So Hoffel will kill Chanel. And Wes is not very happy about any of this, especially since they did it in sort of a PTA meeting kind of way. And he's like, how could you? I am your dad. And so Nurse Hoffel is congratulating. She gets to kill Chanel Oberlin. And Hester's like, okay, come on, you still get to kill, you know, 3 Chanels plus Munch, and Cassidy is going to kill number 3. And Cassidy's like, oh, I'm going to kill her so hard. And so then the Green Meanies summit is over. I love how Nurse Hoffel puts Chanel's picture in between her bosom. And then she taunts Wes, which is amazing, because I don't like Wes.
Nurse Hoffel
Is awful in a good way.
She sticks up to these people have been killing. They obviously killed a ton more people than she has. They have experience. Even Hester has experience, and she steps up to them like they're nothing. Kirstie Alley is doing the damn thing. She steps up to the plate. I love her.
She does. And so later on, number 3 approaches Cassidy, and she's like, there's no way you're going to tell me who the other Green Meanie is and all this kind of stuff. And she's like, basically she's like, you need to stop killing. I want to be with you and all this kind of stuff. And she's like, I'll talk to your mom. And Cassie's like, oh, I'm scared of her. And she's like, our love will make you brave. We need to talk to her. And he thinks that it's a horrible idea. And she's like, she's kind of possessive. And she's like that women aren't going to be into his whole raised to be a serial killer type of thing. That's a turn off. So we need to we need to fix this. Elsewhere in the hospital, we have Holt and Chanel, and he's helping her study for the MCAT, and his hands end up choking her, and he blames it on maybe some leftover tissue from the serial killer hand, but she runs away in fear, and he's left confused. And so she runs into a room, and that's where Nurse Hoffel is, and she's filling up a tub with peanut oil, and she gives her a bit of a advice, because Chanel is ready to quit and to leave and all this kind of stuff, but she's like, no, you just stay an additional day, everything will be fine. And she's like, Chanel's like, what's all this peanut oil? And Hoff was like, oh, this is an experimental new treatment. It's gonna make someone's skin so smooth. Maybe you should test it out. And Chanel's like, oh no, I've had bad experiences with oil in the past. Bum bum bum.
Man, I think this was the most the draggiest part of the episode, the part that I just could give less of a shit about. And that's the Chanel number 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's also because I don't care about the mother. I always felt like it was kind of a weaker,
Well, I like that they're making her really unhinged, because she wasn't presented to be that way in the beginning, and with each episode she's getting crazier and crazier.
Maybe if I actually saw her do something because
yeah,
the
I
only
can
thing
agree
I've
with that.
seen her do is give someone bad tea and ask the uncle and her son to do shit for her. Come on, I want to see you kill someone. I want to see you do something. Don't just act unhinged. Act on being unhinged.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on that. So Holt ends up going to confer with the only killer that he knows, and that's Hester. And she's with the dead body, and he's like, well, why hasn't she been tagged? And she's like, oh, well, I like access to a fresh dead body. And so he's like, well, listen, you've had some issues with killing people in the past. And she's like, oh, one person, I killed one, although I did direct and oversee people killing other people. And so he's like, well, come on, I need to know, I used to think that I wanted to kill Chanel because of my serial killer hand, but I don't have the serial killer hand anymore. I have the hand of a normal person, and I still want to kill her. What is going on? And so she's like, okay, it could be 3 reasons. Number 1, maybe for some weird coincidence, the hand of the parasitic twin whose hand you now have, maybe it was also a serial killer. And all of a sudden, now you have a new serial killer hand. So he's like, well, that probably isn't the case. And so she's like, well, the second reason is you realize that Chanel is a horrible person and that she needs to die. And he's like, well, you know what? I'm starting to believe that. And he's like, what's option number 3, though? And she's like, it was never about the hand. That there's a darkness inside of you. The hand was an excuse. And of course, it's lives, but it's also your nature to take lives. And you are a killer, and you need someone to be with you that will bring out the darkest parts of you and will allow you to quench your taste for blood and murder.
I'm just gonna
And so
say
that's
that it's her,
yeah.
it's his nature to take lives, but it's her nature to take what Chanel has. So
Well, that's true. And so she's all seductive with him, and they end up making out on the hospital bed on top of the dead woman. Kinky.
sexy.
I know, that's a whole different kind of threesome. And so elsewhere in the hospital,
Oh,
we
I
have...
just got that. I'm sorry.
Yes. Elsewhere in the hospital, we have our homegirl, Marfan, a.k.a. Chanel number 7?
I just lost count, just like Chanel number 5 did. She's like, Chanel number...
Yes.
Whatever her number is.
Yes, and she finds snickerdoodles on a plate on the hospital floor. Now, I love me a snickerdoodle. I don't know if I would eat it, that even if it's on a plate on the hospital floor, but she enjoyed it. And then all of a sudden, she has one of those like doggy things, like that the
noose,
like the noose, like that the pound like uses to like. Don't they use that on stray dogs?
Yeah, they use it on rabid animals to like hold them away. Like, cause I've seen them use it in like raccoons and stuff on reality TV.
Yeah, and so that noose wraps around her neck, tightens. She gets pulled up, and she's choked to death by a green meanie. And Chanel number 5 ends up finding her, and her scream leads Munch and the editor to her body, and that's when Chanel's like, Chanel number whatever is dead, and he's like, we need to call the police. And so she explains the Marfan syndrome, and it could be complications from that, and that's when Chanel number 5 drops her Marfan knowledge, and the dean is like, what? And she's like, yeah, I worked for the hospitals for months. Like, come on and pay attention. And so he's like, but what about the marks on her neck? And then Munch faints and collapses to the ground. And so the editor helps her up, and she's like, oh no, I'm fine. And they're like, you don't seem fine. She's like, no, I'm fine, and we should have someone examine you. And so to basically get him out of this vicinity, he's like, okay, come on, show me, let's go, you're a good man. And she's like, number 5, sorry about number 7, you know what to do with her special morgue. And she's like, oh yeah, special air quotes morgue and all that kind of stuff.
That was hilarious. She's like, yeah, the special morgue.
Yes. And then we have Cassidy doing a jaunty little jog, and out comes Wes looking a hot fucking mess. And while he's looking a mess, basically he's like, funny running into you. And he's like, you've been following me since the hospital. And he's like, well, here's the thing. And he also drops the intel that he was the one that killed Marfan because he basically popped a hernia or something, trying to pick her up. And so he tries to make a deal with Cassidy. He's like, Hoffel is a lone wolf. She's erratic. She's not a real green meanie, and she'll probably end up pinning it on us and all this kind of stuff. She's gonna, run away scot-free and all this kind of stuff. But come on, let's get her before she frames us, because people are going to find out about your mom, and people are going to find out this, and it's going to paint a big bullseye on you. So he's like, what do you want to do? And so he wants to form an alliance with him to take down Chanel and to isolate Hoffel, and then they will pin the whole thing on Hoffel, and everyone walks away happy. And so they shake hands, and they form a deal. Now, Wes looked like he was about to pass out from running. I'm just saying, like, that was really sad.
I like that they kept up that shit. Like, they didn't automatically make him like ripped. Like, that actor is still like. You remember last season that he was kind of little
Tubby.
dumpy? Yeah, like, and
Yeah.
they kept that shit up.
I said this last season, and I'll say it again this season. The character of Wes would have been completely different had Joe Manganiello stayed on as Wes.
That would have been odd, and I'm so glad it's not the case, because Wes, like, the actor that plays Wes does a really good job at being a creep, at being fucking weird, at obviously being the killer. Obviously something is wrong with him. Whereas Joe, like, I love the guy, but like he's a really, like, he looks like a good guy. He looks
No, that's what I'm
sweet.
saying. The character would have been completely different.
Uh-huh.
Like, it would not have been the Wes that we know
Yeah.
now.
Right. Yeah.
And it would have made a little bit more sense, no offense to the actor, of like why Munch was like hot for him, like last season in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't they have to do rewrites for it? Like, really, really?
Yeah, I
hit-
think they definitely rewrote. I would have to say they would have to have rewrote the part for him. I think
No,
the story would.
he had been confirmed, and then like they didn't let him out of a contract or something. So he like
He had to bow out because of Magic Mike 2 promotional obligations.
yeah. So they like this was a month before shooting or something like that. So they just had to write something up real quick, like, which just kind of proves like the Ryan Murphy, like in my head, how I figure like Ryan Murphy Productions writes shit is like, I saw a cloud that looked interesting today. Let's write about that and put that in the episode. Like, I figure that that's how the writing goes. That they're just, it's off the cuff. I don't see like long-term plans in the future for this at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, maybe Scream Queens is written that way, but American Horror Story isn't, or like the other shows. But this Scream Queens kind of feels like everything that we don't dare to do in any of the other like shows that we have, like, or shows that we have done, like Nip Tuck. We're gonna do here. We're just gonna throw everything and see how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. You kind of get that feeling.
Yeah. I wonder. I'm curious. I'm sure there was a lot of drama behind his joining and then departure, because they were, it was like late into it when he left Joe Manganiello, like the first time around.
I don't know.
Yeah, I was trying to see if I could find something on by Googling, but no, I can't. So anywho, so continuing on, we pick up with Zayday. She's locked tied down in that pit with the glowing green
swamp
orb thing below her. The pool of, I don't know, I guess it's some of that swamp goo. And Jane opens the top of the tunnel, and she's like, my son has said that, like, no one's even realized that you're gone. So if you keep on screaming, I'm just going to tell people I have the TV on really loud. And I don't know, I guess maybe she's going to tell people she's watching porno because, like, what TV is like, help. But anyway.
Most of TV nowadays, it's like quantum.
Well, I guess. Yeah, that is true. They could say that she's got an episode of Criminal Minds on or something.
Yeah, right? Like, someone got kidnapped, like, a freaking movie about someone being kidnapped. Like, it works in this time of day.
Yes, and so while she's tied down there, she once again reiterates that no one has even realized that you're gone. And so then we hear a voice, Mom, and then Zayday realizes that Cassidy is the baby in the belly. And so Jane closes.
Nice job, Nancy Drew.
Yes. So she closes the tunnel, and we realize that the tunnel is right under her bed, which means she's either a sound sleeper or she's not sleeping in that bed, because if you're just listening to Zayday scream help, I doubt you're going to be sleeping. And so she realizes, though, that Cassidy has arrived with number 3. And Jane immediately is like, okay, if you're going to try to tell my son and both of us that we should stop with our vendetta against the hospital, then you're wrong. And I know all about you. You know, you are part of the frozen food dynasty. You were in jail. You describe yourself as pansexual, but that's really just bisexual for millennials who want even more attention. And don't even get me started on those earmuffs. And she thinks that, you know, just because she's waxing your knob, she can come to my house and tell me exactly how to raise my boy. Well, hell no. And so number 3 is like, you know, I understand your husband died, that sucks. And you're trying to close a hospital that's trying to cure people, though. Like, isn't that what you wanted them to do in the first place? That doesn't make any sense anymore. You're mad at the architecture and the geography. You aren't mad at what's going on in there. It's like, you know, killing, you know, people inside of a Hilton hotel because you didn't like Paris Hilton's song. And she's like, you don't know what it's like to lose someone you love. And then she's like, yes, and I don't want that to happen again. And what happens if he gets caught? He's going to go to jail. And she's like, nope, I'll take the fall. And she's like, really hot girls and sweet old ladies can do anything. They can get away with anything. And I should know. I've been both. And so she's like, why don't you ask your son what he wants? And she's like, okay, let's do that. You know, darling, like, what do you want? Do you want to betray the memory of your kind, wonderful father and break your mother's heart and run off with this earmuff chick? Or do you want to do the job that you've been trained to do since you were a kid? And even though number 3 is like, you know, I know what it's like, you know, with family, you know, I gave up all the frozen food money and I've never felt better in my life. But Cassidy looks at his mother, and he's like, I can't, you know, I'm sorry. I have to stick with the plan. And so number 3 leaves, and that's when Jane is like, I'm sorry, son, but you do realize you gotta kill her. Bum, bum, bum.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully it don't. I don't see it going down, but it's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
I'm
We
wondering
hope.
how the fuck Zayda is going to get out of there. Because you know for damn sure that she's not going to be the one, like, one of the ones that dies in the finale.
Oh,
You just know it.
absolutely.
So I
I
wonder
just
how,
don't understand why you have them under your bed. Like,
Kinky.
like, why do you have like a secret dungeon, prison, kidnapping under your
With
bed?
all that glowy goo.
Holy
right?
shit. If Niecy Nash comes back to say fucking Zayda,
Wow.
That'd be some
I could
shit.
I knew that Zayde Williams was a stone cold hoe.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be some shit. That'd be comical. I would enjoy that.
That would be fun.
Because that's the only
And
one I
so-
can think of. Because Hester doesn't give a shit about her. Chanel number
Yeah.
5, even though we've proven she's smart, like, is really dumb when it concerns, like, other Chanels and, like, actually, like, sticking up for them or something. But wait! No! Chanel number 5 was, they were
Yeah,
were
she
detective
notices
buddies
because-
together for a while.
Oh, we're going to talk about that right now. So let's get into that.
Yay!
Okay, so we have Wes. He's in the hospital and he's stirring up this concoction with cyanide and a whole bunch of drugs. And he puts it in a coffee cup. And he puts a little note on it. It says, like, to Chanel, you know, Hearty Hearts, Brock. And delivers it to the nurse's station. And so Chanel arrives. It's the morning of the big major Lovin the D live surgery event, and Chanel is surprised by the coffee cup. She's about to take a sip, but she's interrupted by number 3, and she's like, where's number 5? And she's like, I don't know, she's probably nervous and taking a huge dump somewhere. And so then Lovin of Lovin the D arrives, and we learned that Lovin is a Kappa. She's a former Kappa girl, and Chanel's like, oh, I've been waiting for this all year. And she's like, you mean years? She's like, no, like a whole year. I've been wanting this a whole year. And she's like, oh, okay. She's like, you're going to be great. You're hot. You're wonderful. You're a Kappa. You're a natural. The camera's going to love you. Like, I don't know about that number 5, but you know what I'm saying. But the camera's going to love you. We're going to make daytime TV history. We're going to cut out a 16-pound tumor off some dude's face. It's going to be fantastic. She picks up the coffee cup, the one that was intended for Chanel. She takes a big gulp, and she immediately starts foaming at the mouth. she starts a seizure and she falls to the ground, and Dr. Lovin is dead.
Bum bum bum.
I know, right?
Bum, bum.
And so Holt
Wackest
arrives.
death ever.
See, I thought the Marfan death was Wack's
No,
death,
that was
but
they
anyway.
were both kind of whack, but like this was kind of like so simple too. Like at least Marfan, like he attempted.
Oh, okay, well there you go.
Like this one was
And
just
so
like, let me put some poison in a cup.
yeah, and so Holt arrives, pronounces her dead, and he looks at the coffee cup. He's like, "I didn't give this to you." And so then the producer's like, we're live in like a moment. Like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?" And so they start the surgery off with the four of them, Holt and the three Chanel. Chanel number 5 tries to take over, but then Chanel ends up taking over, and she's like, Dr. Lovin is dead, and it would be explored in a future episode of Lovin' the D, and so we've got a surgery to do. And so they do the surgery with Holt doing all the work and Chanel narrating, and the surgery is a success. It's like several hours later. Like how they did this, because if this is a nationally syndicated show, it only has an hour to air, and if this is live and it was like a multiple hour surgery, I don't know how they did that. Maybe they live streamed the rest of it or something.
That's a
I
good
think
He
point.
really is that great.
No, I
a
think
doctor.
they filmed the whole thing and then they edited it.
Okay, well there you go. And so we got to see what a 16-pound tumor looked like, and then Chanel closes the show out, but number 5 did pop in to wish everybody a good night, which was fantastic. And so after the surgery was a success, the producer is like, "You all were amazing." And I'm on the phone with the CEO of our parent company, and they loved you. They loved this team. You all are fantastic. And, in the light of Dr. Lovin's untimely passing just a few hours ago, we would like to hire the Chanels as the permanent replacement on Lovin' the D. And Holtz is like, "You do realize I'm the one that did the surgery?" And he's like, "Okay, you're nice, but we want the Chanels." And he's trying to like make sense of everything. Like, "You do realize Dr. Lovin was poisoned, and we need to call the authorities, and you're like talking about the show continuing on, but she like just died." And this is when the producer's like, everyone hated her. Like, anyone could have poisoned her. Like, she fired people for farting in front of her.
Well, that sounds like a Kappa Kappa Tau.
I know, right? And so Chanel's like, "So you're offering us our own show?" And he's like, "Yep." And the Chanels freak out. And Hoffel is observing all of this from nearby, and she's fuming, as she should be.
Another win for the Chanels, per usual.
I know, they never lose.
Well,
So,
apart
well,
from that giant
they do
stint
lose.
of them like losing all of their fortunes and having to like live off of top ramen and whatever they can lick off the top.
Oh, and
of their
the
head.
fruit pies.
True, but then two of
Yeah.
them end up dating doctors. So like, in the day, do they really lose?
Well, that's true.
That's true.
Well, Chanel number 5, but who really cares about her? And so the
Right.
Green Meanies end up having a summit, at least 2 of them. Wes and Cassidy, decked up in their Green Meanie finest. And Wes is like, "Oh, these Chanels, like, we can never get them." And then he does this whole analogy, like, if they fell into the Grand Canyon, they'd land on the moon. And Cassidy's like, "What?" And he's like, they... What was the saying? They fail
upwards or something
upward.
like that. Yeah, they fail
Yeah.
upwards.
And so he's like, "What do you want to talk to me about?" And Hoffa is like, "This." And she's like, "Come on, you tried to poison Chanel. You broke our binding contract from the Green Meanie Summit. And Chanel was mine." And he's like, "What? This isn't the United Nations. Like, we aren't, doing common stuff together and all this kind of thing." And then he's like, "Oh, like, I want to kill Chanel. Like, I'm really pissed at her about what's happened." And so he's like, "You know what? This is getting a little intense too much right now, Wes." That's what Cassidy's like. It's getting hard to kill. Everybody's so on edge." And so then Hoffel's like, that's why we need to let everybody know that the green meanie is dead, to set up a false sense of security so that there's a big orgy of blood and gore at the end. And while all this is going on, Cassidy and Hoffel are stepping closer to Wes, and Wes is stepping backwards, and we see that behind Wes, that whole tub of the peanut oil, it's it's frying, it's boiling. And Wes is like, what does Wes end up saying? Like, Wes is like, let's I vote to frame Hester, and they're like, your daughter, and he's like, and then he realizes that what's going on. He's like, well, you know what, I'm not built to be a killer, I'm out, you all can do whatever you want, as long as the Chanels die, and it's super painful, and it's fine, and whatever, like, I'm good, like, it's all cool. And then he realizes, uh-oh. And he's like, okay, I see what's going on here. You guys are going to kill me. And they laugh. And she's like, any last words? And so he goes up and he folds his arm and he's ready to do a back dive into the peanut oil. And he says playlist. And you would think how close that they were, that him splashing down would not have splashed onto them. But it doesn't, because it's a Scream Queens universe, and we see him fry in the boiling peanut oil. And so, cut to Munch. She's with the editor, and he's like, you know what? You guys are doing a great job here. You're up to par with all the regulations, and, but there's no thing in the regulations about a serial killer. So hopefully you guys can fix that, but I can't ding you for that. So it's clear that the journalist was having a breakdown before his disappearance. I just got to check this, that, or the other before I leave, but you are clear to go. And so they head on over to the hypertherapy room, and that's when they find a deep fried Wes Gardner, and Munch faints. And so when she comes to, she's surrounded by you, and you are there. Everyone's there. The entire team is there, even Hoffel, and we have Munch on a hospital bed. Chanel number 5 does this little wave thing, which I thought was really cute. And they inform her that the editor is not going to shut them down, that he has left, that everything is fine. The hospital, the Cure Institute passed with flying colors, and even the Green Meanie is dead. So everything is calm and wonderful and all this kind of thing. And now that the Green Meanie's dead, Chanel number 5 is like, Chanel number 5 was like, who knew it was Grace's sexy dad? And which I think that made everybody throw up a little bit.
It's like, you fucking move it.
But she always
really
used to say that, right? I feel like she said that before.
I think, well, no, because I think there was more people attracted to him back then in that last season. I think just the hype died down.
Well, there you go. And so they start explaining it, like that he wanted revenge, and they're not surprised because he used to like stalk them by being in the car outside of the Kappa house. And so they explain it off that I guess, he returned because he wanted revenge against the Chanels, and now that he's gone, the whole Green Meanie thing, it's over, He must have slipped in the tub while getting the tub ready to kill the Chanels, and he was just trying to get revenge on the daughter. And so Chanel number 5 was like, okay, now the Green Meanie's gone, we can all get back to being med students. And she's like, I'm pretty positive that Zayday's officially missing because her Snapchat has been dark for the past week, and I don't even know what the gag has been for the past week. That was my favorite line. That was amazing.
Absolutely was. She's like, I have absolutely no clue what the gag is
for this past week.
I was like,
yeah. And Munch is like, why am I the first hearing of this? I have to go immediately. And Holt is like, no, but the editor has said that this isn't the first time that you fainted, so we're going to run some more tests on you. And Munch is like, no, what I have is not going to show up on tests. And my favorite thing is when she's saying this, they like cut to all of them. So we're getting reaction shots. And I don't know if any of you noticed, but a Nurse Hoffel like ends up like doing like this major eye roll type of thing, which was really funny. And Munch is like, what I have is incurable. It's terminal, and I'm going to die in a month. And out of all the Chanels, number 5 is the only one that's kind of like shocked and worried.
And number 3 could honestly give less of a shit. She just like
Right.
looks to the side and she's like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, people die all the time around us. Like, okay, move on.
So, now I've got to ask all of you, what's the gag? What did you think of Wes's death? And now the truth of Munch's illness, being put out there to the rest of the group.
As for Wes's death, it's clearly a tradition that's going to continue. They're going to portray one of their own.
And someone's going to get deep fried.
And someone's going to get deep fried. So we'll look forward for that for season 3. One of the blue crabs is going to kill the other blue crab, and then they're going to deep fry it.
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, wow, you're going to turn him into a chicken tender? Okay. That's what you want to do. Like, that's a bit dramatic, don't you think? Nobody smelled the hot grease in the whole damn hospital.
Oh, and that was peanut oil,
cooking.
so you know that smelled good. Like peanut oil.
Right?
Man,
he took his
everybody
own,
smelled that.
like a G. Like, he was like, I'm not going to let y'all do this.
No, but I died when he said playlist. Because, like, that was such a stupid season 1 thing.
The playlists.
Wes was pathetic. Like, I'm so glad that he died.
I saw that, and though it was funny, like in the back of my mind, I'm like, and nothing of value was lost today, because it wasn't. Like, none of the deaths I really like was super sad or upset about. I'm like, okay, a Chanel that I have no idea what the number is. She might be a nice girl, but we didn't get to know her very well. Wes, who for all intents and purposes just kind of flashed in, then flashed out. And I'm missing another guy. Lovin the D, yeah, who also, like, I don't know, I was expecting her to act like bitchier, or like she was part of Kappa Kappa Tau, like she should be an awful person, like, so didn't care, whatever. It was more about story build up this time than about the deaths.
Yeah.
So Wes being gone wasn't like nothing, although it is death of the week because the other 2 deaths were like exactly like Prince said. They were
blah, and
they were blah.
To give like Brooke Shields like an epic death. Like, I was hoping they were gonna put her on, and they just gave her something whack.
Yeah. Although I think Marfan's death was probably more blah for me.
I thought it was comical because he was struggling.
And the whole snickerdoodles.
No, the snickerdoodle side was blah. Like,
okay.
Who's like stupid enough to stop from fucking?
I know, right? Who's gonna eat them on the floor?
Like you said, I'm not eating them off of the floor. But it was comical watching him struggle to kill her. Like, I felt like if she really wanted to, she could have, like, pointed her toes down towards the ground and really pulled him out of the fucking ceiling and beat his ass.
See, this is where I kind of agree with somebody else. We were talking about this. Just, like, when you make a joke and when you set it up so it's, like, really obvious what's going to happen, like, she's too tall and he can't choke her, like, you kind of want to see it, like, done. Or if it's not done, like, something completely, like, that you didn't expect. So when it's just... he choked her and succeeded. That's it. Like, it missed a big punchline that could have happened.
Exactly. Absolutely. Like, it should have been more of a struggle. It should have been more of a fight. It would have been funnier that way.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
If she kind of pulled him out from the ceiling, he kind of hits the ground and she kind of makes a run for it and then he stabs her. That would have been more epic. I would have enjoyed that.
Or she chokes on a snickerdoodle. Like, she eats it and she's like, oh.
Right, like she chokes before he can even get her.
Or if, like, she tries to, like what Prince was saying, like, to pull him down, and then, like, he ends up falling on top of her, and, like, that's what ends up killing her.
It gives her the heart attack that freaking number 5.
Or ends up breaking her neck or something like that, by him falling on top of her head or something.
All of these sound like better ideas than he has a little difficulty choking her, and it's done really, like, far away from the screen, so you don't even get to, like, see.
Yeah.
Like,
Dang right, Murphy. You do a lot of horror shows. If you need some ideas, I'm up for some coins.
Well, there is the casting couch ready for you, Prince.
Shameless plug. If he wants to hire me to kill people in American Horror Story and Scream Queens, let me know. I got this. I love killing people. I kill them in my head all the time. TMI.
Wilson.
I'm just curious. When did they decide they were gonna team up against West? Like, did they like have a meeting when they were getting the grease ready, or?
I think so.
It must have been a secret meeting, like right after, like the whole his mom and Chanel number 3.
Well, I mean, they already kind of had a bond, in a sense. Like, they had a deal already from out the gate.
True.
So, like, I could
That's
see him, like, going to her and saying, like, hey, listen, like, this is what this dude is trying to do. And, like, you need to basically watch your back, you know, because I got respect for you and blah, blah, blah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's get into our MVP for the episode, the character that impressed you the most, and why. Who is your MVP? And the same rule applies. If someone mentions a character, you must pick a different one. We will start off with Wilson, your MVP, and why.
Haha. Chanel number 3.
Ooh.
You
And
bitch.
Well,
yeah, she was just on it. Like all her little quips, every time she got a little time to screen time, she was on it. She rocked this episode. She was I think she was the funniest part. Like everything, a little facial movement. Like, what's wrong with you this episode? And it all started with the eyebrow to the green meanie. So I'm gonna have to go with Chanel for number 3.
all right now. I'm going to go next, and I pick, sorry everybody, Chanel number 5.
No, you
You
bitch!
secondary bitch.
Yes. She was just so good this episode. Like, I have to give her propage. Like, and that line at the end about the gag was amazing. She's a genius. She's the only one that's noticed that Zayde isn't there. She might solve everything this time around. Who knows? But I loved Chanel number 5 this episode. I love that everybody hates her. I love that Lovin the D was even talking shit about her and she doesn't really even know her. Like, everybody was hazing on Chanel number 5 this episode, and you know, even Hoffel during the Green Meanie Summit. I mean, it was fantastic. So I have to give it to our girl. I don't know if any of us would ever be really like friends with her, but it's nice to know that she's there. Chanel number 5. So, Priscilla, who's your MVP? Y por qué?
I'm gonna give that to Hester. Oh my god, like the balls it takes on somebody to just kind of like step up to 3 killers with like machetes in front of you and not blink, not even once, to freaking have like that green meanie summit and somehow like do that little kiss she gave to Chad's picture. Not to mention like her seduced her whole, like, it was all so like well calculated and thought out. I'm curious to know like what happens with her next. Like, how do you deal with somebody who might like know all the murderers but hasn't like told you?
Okay. I like it. And Prince.
I'm gonna go with Cassie's mom because she has a dungeon under her bed.
Shout out to Jane.
Get it? You little kinky bitch, you. So yeah, that's the only reason why you guys pretty much took everybody else. So
Nurse Hoffel.
yeah, no, I'm gonna go with
Oh,
Jane in her
gosh.
dungeon.
Well, I'll give a shout out to Nurse Hoffel because they brought back the screeching noise when Chanel entered the hydrotherapy room where she was loading up the tub with peanut oil, and she goes, "Hello, Chanel." They did that noise, which I love. Every time it does it, it makes me laugh. It's fantastic. So, this is our penultimate episode. The next episode is the season finale. Some of us are worried that it's the series finale. But since the next episode is the final episode of Season 2, do we want to shout out any guesses as to who's going to die? Do we think anyone, I mean, obviously not counting any guest cast that it might have, because, you know, if it's a guest, they're probably going to die. But who do you think will die in the season finale? Who do you think will survive? And that kind of thing.
I think Cassidy Cascade's gonna die.
Well,
I
that
was
one's
thinking
like
the green meanies were gonna die. Yeah,
all of them.
yeah. I was thinking that
Yeah,
too. I was like,
I
think in
yeah,
a
I can
twist
see
of fate,
Hoffel
all
dead
the green meanies are gonna die somehow.
Hester's gonna get blamed for it all.
Does Dr. Holt survive though? What do you guys think?
Nah,
I could care less.
I was like,
I think
Oh.
he could be like one of the camp counselor like heads and stuff like that. Like, so I don't know. I think he could survive. Like it
He
out of
could,
all
but
of
like it doesn't matter either way to me, I guess. I could
No.
do without him, but if he does survive, it's cool.
Okay.
I was hoping someone from the main cast would like die and someone from like the old cast would come back like, oh my god, you figured out that Chamberlain came back from the swamp that's like bringing back people because it's like radioactive somehow, or like that Niecy, I guess that's going to be reserved for Niecy Nash's character, for Denise Hemphill. Like she's gonna, like,
Denise
she's
Hemphill
gonna
is
wake up.
100% coming back.
So I get like we're gonna have somebody come back and we're gonna have somebody die.
Well, they still got to kill Chanel number 8. So she's 100% going to die.
Yeah,
I feel.
I feel that too.
And do we think all 3 Chanels will make it out alive?
Yeah.
I would hope so.
Zayday?
Yeah.
I would hope so.
I hope
Will Dean Munch get
I
cured?
hope 3 dies and Zayday like survives, or Zayday dies and 3 survives. Like one of those 2 has to die for me.
Whoa, what is
Oh,
up
wow.
with that?
She's turning into you, Prince.
Maybe
She's
because
just
like
no, she's just killing off my favorites. If that's the case, number 5 can die too.
no.
Ooh.
This is why like it tears it. Prince has his favorites and they die. Like as soon as he starts liking them, they die. So
Yes, but my actual favorites, like Zayday and number 3, have never died, and those have been my favorites. So maybe my favorites never die. I
Oh
think
my
you're just
gosh.
trying to kill one of my people because Chad died. So don't be trying to kill off my favorites because one of your favorites died.
Well, Dean Munch, does she get cured? Does she survive?
I actually think this season is going to be Jamie Lee Curtis's exit out. I think she might die.
I think if she
Okay.
dies, she could die in a blaze of glory, like taking out like the other 2 green meanies, or like.
I feel like it's
don't
gonna be
think she's gonna
something epic.
cured.
Like I feel like this was like her way out, and for like somebody new to come in for like season 3.
Okay.
Either that or
So-
the season ends and they don't. There's no resolution to that. They're just like, is she okay? Like, and then that's kind of like you motherfucker. Yeah.
So we all feel that Cassidy is 100% either dead or in jail, or 100% dead.
He's dead.
Okay. Priscilla, you agree?
Cassidy being 100% dead? Oh,
Yeah.
God, I hope so.
Yes.
Okay. What about Hoffel? Dead, in jail, or she gets away scot-free?
In jail. In jail. She's not gonna get away scot-free, but she's too good to die.
Dead.
Okay. Oh gosh. Kill them all is what Wilson says.
Indeed.
Hester. Hester dead, alive, and scot-free, or back in the mental institution?
Back in
That's the institution.
She's gonna get blamed for it all.
Yup.
Oh, damn. Wouldn't it be a twist if last year she got away with it scot-free and like nobody put the blame on it, and now everyone puts the blame on her, but she had nothing to do with it?
Why would Hoffel be in jail?
That's
You're gonna
no. I
introduce-
was edging on like my comment and just thinking like if Hester gets blamed for everything, maybe like Hoffel goes on the run.
To Blood Island.
Mm-hmm. To possibly be the killer like next time, or maybe she dies in peanut oil. Like, but I think there's a stronger like tie-in to having Hester take the fall for everything.
Okay. And we all feel like Zayday will be saved by Denise Hemphill.
Yeah.
Special agent.
But I know it's gonna happen. But god damn it, like she took the Grace position this time, and again, it's the whole when you play the straight man role, like it's really hard to make it funny, to work off of everyone else being crazy. But she just kind of felt like a stupid Nancy Drew, like ineffective at anything that she's done. Like the thing that impressed me the most probably was when she figured out that the dean had Kuru, but like other than that, I don't know, like there wasn't any anything interesting for me. And last episode's like Snapchat thing, oh god, like that, shut up, it bored me. So like if she dies, yay. She probably won't though.
Prince, the gag is Priscilla didn't like the gag.
Priscilla wants her dead, but the gag is she's gonna survive.
I like it.
That's true.
There is one character that we haven't discussed, and that's because she's kind of been like a secondary character that they've been featuring a lot in these past couple of episodes. But Jane, Cassidy's mother, does she make it out alive? Does she die? Does she go to jail?
Please die.
Oh no, she's gonna go to jail. But I feel like she's gonna go to jail. but I feel like maybe 3's just gonna kill her.
Oh.
I could see.
Some
That
low,
would be interesting.
on some low key shit, like, and blame it on the green Mimi.
If I can't have him, nobody can.
Like she's gonna miss out on love twice. Nah, not my bitch.
Possibly.
Okay. A lot of bold predictions. Are we going to end the season with a cliffhanger? What do you think?
Possibly.
I think definitely so. Like,
I think if he gets a I think if Ryan Murphy secretly knew that he got a confirmation for a third season, he's gonna leave it with a cliffhanger. If not, I think he had an alternative ending.
I think Ryan was the type of person that like leaves with a cliffhanger because, like, well, when we expected the show to end, like, we were gonna have this as the ending. Like, he would have an exit interview with something like that. So it's definitely gonna end in a cliffhanger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think the ending will at all set up what could potentially be a third season?
I think it'll set it up the way season 1 set things up, where like it leaves things open-ended, but it won't tell you next season we're going to summer camp, next season we're going to like to a haunted house. Like it's not going to give you a lead in that way to make it easier for like the writers to come up with shit later on or to like surprise you.
Yeah, because I'm a little confused on how they would do a cliffhanger, because it would be kind of tack. They did someone dressed up in the green meanie outfit again, unless somebody survived. And then, like, even last season, I'm like, you find out that it was, like, Chad. So, like, it wasn't even a real Red Devil. It was just Chad being corny.
Okay. And I know that we kind of gave, but I don't feel like I got it from everybody. So I'm going to repeat. Dr. Holt, dead or alive at the end of the season?
Hopefully
Alive.
dead. But okay if he's alive, but hopefully.
And Wilson?
Join the dark side, Wilson.
I'd like if he died, but I think he's gonna live.
Yeah,
just kill him.
Wilson's all about killing though. Like, so if people die,
he's gonna
like
be on
just
Fuller House.
check it off.
Okay.
Just check it off.
He's gonna be on Fuller House.
He'll be okay.
He'll be okay. He'll still have a job.
Hey, just kill him. He'll always be Uncle Jesse.
Oh gosh. Well, on that note, we'll find out next week. So join us next time for a brand new installment of Are You Afraid, Scream Queens? Once again, here's our announcer to remind you on how you can interact with us.
Follow Poppy Chula Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Poppy Chula Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@poppychularadio.com. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chula Radio team as an on-air personality? Email talent@poppychularadio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chula Radio programs by visiting poppychularadio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through iTunes. Just search for Are You Afraid? Scream Queens, and subscribe.
Thanks, announcer. Co-hosts, please wish the listeners a good night.
Good night.
Y'all take it easy, man.
Deuces. Don't die.
Bye, whores.
Watch out for the snickerdoodles. Thanks for tuning in. Download new episodes of Are You Afraid? Scream Queens every Thursday via iTunes and the Poppy Chula Radio archives. New episodes stream via poppychularadio.com every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Good night, everyone. All right, people. So next week is the 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 people. So next week is